I want to introduce John Bramblett. John is ranked the #1 blind painter in the world and the only blind muralist. He's known for his bright colors and style mixture of impressionism with modern feel of pop art. His art has gone to over 120 countries. He's an award-winning author of the book Shouting in the Dark, and he was awarded 3 U.S. Presidential Service Awards for his creation of free art workshops designed to really connect with communities that haven't necessarily been served well in the past. So welcome, John.
Thank you so much. I'm so proud to be here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and jump in. I'd love to hear from you. Tell me your story. How did you start out as a virtual visual artist?
Oh my goodness, a virtual visual artist, like right now, or way back when I first started painting.
Let's say when you first started painting.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have to admit, like whenever I lost my eyesight when I was in college, and I wanted to be a writer, and so I was going to college for writing, and then I ended up losing my eyesight. And that's what really got me into painting. I had drawn all my life. I'd always drawn, did illustrating, could do drafting. I could do the blueprints for houses, all this fun stuff. Mm-hmm. But I didn't think the idea of making a career as an artist sounded crazy to me. I didn't know if, I didn't think about that too much, as being a painter. But I just did. I drew every day because I love art and I love to draw. But it was just something I enjoyed. But I didn't know if I'd make a career of it. But then after losing my eyesight, I started getting back into artwork because it was my way of dealing with bad things. And it was, art's a great way to help you through a bad day. It's a great way to celebrate a good day. So I started relearning how to draw and then getting into painting. But honestly, I didn't think of it being a career. It sort of snuck up on me. I started doing shows, but I didn't tell people that I was blind. I just wanted to meet other artists because I was obsessed with art. And I just wanted to meet other people that were just as obsessed. So I would do some shows, but I wouldn't tell anybody that I was blind. I wouldn't do a show opening. I would hang the artwork, then I'd go away. And then the shows ended up doing really well. And then it got out that I was visually impaired, which was the best thing that could have happened because I was still very angry. I was still very depressed at the time. But when word got out, I started to be contacted by different nonprofits and charities. They were like, "Oh, you're visually impaired. You're painting. Can you come talk to our clients? Can you do workshops with the people that we work with?" So I started to travel around the country doing these workshops, just here and there, and it was the best thing that could have happened to me. Dealing with people like soldiers that had PTSD or children that had autism, adults that have Alzheimer's. I felt like we all got each other. We all understood each other. It was like, it was just the best sort of thing. I don't know. And so I started doing that. Didn't think of it as a career. And museums were wanting to be more inclusive. So museums started to contact me saying, "Hey, can you come do those programs with us?" So I started doing that. And I was doing it full time. And then I graduated college. And then and it kept going on. It was just sort of by accident. It was like years later, years of doing this, I thought, gosh, I do this all the time. Like maybe this is a career. I'm not that smart, apparently. I'm not the brightest crayon in the box. It took me a while to figure out.
Oh my gosh. Well, so you went to college, you graduated. So this, so you lost your sight while you were in college. And you took it upon yourself just to keep going, right?
Well, it's a wonderful thing about artwork. It's artwork that really saved me, that really helped me, because it forces you to focus on what you can do. It's all about the positive, about the creative. In artwork, it doesn't matter what you can't do. It doesn't even, you don't even think about that. You just focus on what you can do, and you're trying to reach a goal. So it's just this incredibly positive force in your life, and when you're depressed, when you're angry, sometimes you can get in a rut where you don't think anything can change. You don't think there can be any sort of future. But whenever you're painting or whenever you're creating, you're constantly making things a little bit better. You're making your little changes, and it affects how you think about everything. And if it wasn't for the artwork, I would still be depressed and angry and stuck back there. It's just, I don't know. Artwork for me is incredibly. Oh, I just hit my computer. Hopefully everybody's still there. Sorry, guys.
You're here. You're still
But
here.
it's just good. But it's just, I don't know. I'm happier now than I've ever been in my entire life, and and my artwork is just my artwork. My life is just filled with art. That's it's what I dream of at night. It's what I do all day long, and I feel so blessed, so thankful that I can live a life like that.
So, who were some of the people that inspired you to get into art world?
You know, whenever I first started, I honestly, there weren't really blind painters. Like, this was a long time ago. This was in 2001 when I lost my eyesight, and there was one gentleman in Turkey that painted, but I didn't know about him at the time, and his artwork is very different than mine, and so there wasn't any sort of person like that. But growing up, artwork, I was sick a lot as a child, and artwork was my way of dealing with that. I was in and out of hospitals all my life, um, and just knowing the power that art had with you, and then the friendships that I had, and I really thought everybody would think that I was out of my mind. Like, you're a blind painter, like you're a non-visual visual artist. That's crazy. I figured everybody would just laugh and go away. But instead, I was fortunate to have a group of friends in my family that were so supportive emotionally, and saying, like, well, I paint, that's what I want to do. My health was really bad at the time too. So the prognosis for the future wasn't really that bright. So I wanted to spend time that was meaningful, that really meant a lot to me. And for me, creating art was that. And everyone around me encouraged me. Even my university, my teachers were so supportive. It's just, and I can't tell you how much I realized how lucky I was, because most people going through what I had, I don't know if they would have that support, which is one reason I do so many workshops and stuff, because, it's just one kind word, one voice of encouragement might be all a person needs to actually go for their dreams, to be able to pursue it. And for me, I was fortunate that I had that. But it wasn't anybody famous, wasn't anybody, it was just the people around me that loved enough to be able to say, yeah, do it, give it a try.
I love that. I love that story. So, talk to me about the tools that you use to learn the business side of it. Because as creatives, I feel that a lot of times we have so many just wonderful attributes and assets that are, like you said, so healing, so powerful. But also, it's important that if you want to make this your life's passion, how do you do that and not be that prototypical starving artist? What are and I got on your website, and I just felt that you have done such a phenomenal job as not just an artist, but as a business person as well.
Well, thank you. Gosh, I don't hear that very often. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's like, how did you learn those skills?
Well, my first step was to marry someone that was way smarter than I was that understands business. So that's the first step, I think. But one of the main things I think in the art world is that you have to diversify. Like, I love painting. I would. This isn't a prop. This is a painting I'm working on that I was working on just minutes before we started talking, and I'll start painting after. So I love to paint, but as a business, though, it's really important to diversify. So, like, for me, I've noticed that prints are a big thing. And I know some artists don't want prints, or they, maybe limited editions, and they don't. Offering different products at different price points, I think, is huge. And because not everybody can afford an original painting, and and I'm one of them. Like, like I like a lot of art out there, and I have to be very choosy whenever I buy an original, because they're pricey. And I live with it for the rest of my life. So, any new painting for me is a new friend in my house, and it's always there. But you can offer lots of different types of artwork at different but at different price points. But another thing is just getting your name out there, I think. And I wish I could say that I did this. There was a big plan that I'm just that smart. I'm a genius, and I came up with this idea beforehand. But one thing that I did, which was accidentally really smart, which I'm so proud, is I work with a ton of nonprofits and charities. And I do that because of, of what I went through. I have epilepsy and blind, and so it's a natural sort of thing. And then working with the museums. But one of the nice things that if you work with a nonprofit or charity, they often have galas, they have different events, they're always doing fundraising. So I work with them. I'll go and I'll do a painting live. We'll auction off that painting. All the money goes to the charity. I'll do workshops. We'll charge for people to do the workshop, and all the money goes to the charity. So it seems like all the money is going to the charity, but what you're really doing is you're putting your name out there. And what I realized after a long time of doing this is that a lot of the people who support the charities are also art collectors. They're the people that have the income. If you have income to be able to donate to a charity and be able to help the charity along, you're also someone that has expendable income and you want to decorate your home. And so it turned out me doing this, that I was actually putting my name in front of collectors. If you think of it, if you work with a gallery, all the gallery really does is they try to get your name out there for collectors to come in and want to purchase your artwork. And if you're working with a nonprofit, it's doing the same sort of job. But the wonderful part about it is that if you're working with a nonprofit and you don't have anybody buying originals, you don't have anybody that buys prints or anything like that, you don't make any money off of it. You still had an amazing time and you still did a lot of positive. So you still feel wonderful about it. Which if you were working with a gallery and that happened, you would feel like, oh, this is just a bust, good grief. We didn't make anything, because it's just business, but with a nonprofit and charity, it's a win no matter what. But it's incredible how it helps your name get out there, and like I say, that was accidental, but it really does help. And right now, a lot of nonprofits and charities are looking for ways to be able to fundraise, because with the current unpleasantness that's going around, everything is going virtual, which means that a lot of their galas, a lot of their fundraisers just aren't able to happen. But they still have to pay their bills, and just like everyone else.
The bills keep rolling in.
Oh my goodness, yes. But this is a great time too, I think, for artists to be able to take a little time and be able to spread their wings a little bit, and to be able to reach out to different organizations and and help them fundraise a little bit, help with their galas and their different things that are virtual. And you can do it from your home. You don't have to travel, and so it makes it a little bit easier, but you're making connections. So from just a life choice sort of situation, it's very positive. You feel really good. You go to bed at night feeling, like, oh, I did something good today. But from a business perspective, you're also putting your name out in front of people that might be potential buyers. So it's a win-win. And and it's hard to, the dream is to be an artist that you pay your bills with your artwork. You're a 24/7 artist, and anything that can help you do that, I think, is very important. So diversify, getting your name out there. Working with museums is another thing. And that's something that I looked into very early on because of the workshops that I teach. But you can actually get into museums. Like one of the hard things with a gallery, I love working with the galleries, but one of the hard things is that before you're established, they only want to work with artists that are established. But how do you do that? If they only work with established artists
how do you get
and you're not established yet, it's just, oh my goodness, it's just a vicious circle, but there is a nice way with museums. A lot of times museums are wanting to be more inclusive. They're wanting to get more hands-on. Except for right this moment, everybody's hands off, but they're wanting programs, and they're wanting artists to come in to teach different things, and maybe just to paint live. And I know a lot of painters aren't comfortable with that, and that's fine. There's other things to do, but for people who are willing to interact with the public and they like that, you can go to work for a museum, for an event or something, and then they get to know you. And it's surprising how when they get to know you, they keep inviting you back, and they keep inviting you back. And then on your resume, though, you get to put that you work with this museum. So like I've worked with the Metropolitan a number of times, and the Guggenheim and the DMA and all these big museums. So you put that on your resume, and then suddenly a gallery says, oh my goodness, you haven't shown with many galleries, but you've worked with all these institutions. come on, we'll give you a try. We'll do a show, and so it's sort of a way you can, I don't know, kind of find a backdoor into the system, maybe.
Well, I love your creativity and finding those ways to get your name out there. And I was reading about some of your demonstrations, and one of them was around jelly beans. I'm a huge jelly bean fan. And my therapist says to me, Stephanie, it's not crack, so it's candy. So a little bit of sugar goes a long way with me. And but I loved the experiment that you did and the teaching that you did with abled and disabled children and people of all different ages and backgrounds. Some who may be struggling from PTSD or mental health issues, and to let them experience eating a jelly bean and then painting colors and a picture based upon the flavor of the jelly bean. And I thought that was just phenomenal the way you did that.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Yeah.
I like doing workshops because, as a studio artist, you spend most of your time by yourself in the studio. But when you're doing a workshop, you're around people. And the workshops I teach, they're always free. It doesn't cost anything to paint with me. And I do, unless we're raising money for a charity or something. And then everybody knows I had that ticket or whatever is going to the charity. But I started doing workshops where, like it might be a different workshop for children who are blind and another workshop for people who are professional artists. And, I had like 32 different workshops, that I had planned out that I was doing. And then it started to occur to me that we all understand the world through our senses. Everybody uses the senses. So if you just make a workshop that's multi-sensory, that anybody can take that workshop. It doesn't matter if you're hearing impaired. It doesn't matter if you don't have a disability. It doesn't matter if you can't draw a straight line. It doesn't matter. Everybody uses their senses. So in my workshops, we incorporate like jelly beans, which is my favorite too. It's like I have a problem not eating all the jelly beans. They're like, oh,
I know. I don't think there'd be too many colors on my mat. I don't know. My canvas.
And we have music. Like I've had opera singers come in. I've had actors come in and play different parts. And we'll have food. We'll have all these different sorts of things. We'll have things to taste, to listen to touch and feel, to incorporate as much of the senses as we can. And as silly as that may sound, like just tasting something or hearing something or touching something, it makes the artwork explode. And everybody's laughing. We're having a good time. I'll usually, and I've done this with tens of thousands of people, but I'll blindfold people and I'll have them paint the way that I paint, using the techniques that I use to be able to paint without vision. And everybody's painting. It's just, I don't know, it's a fun time. And I don't know. I think sometimes the museums we work with, they might get a little frustrated because there'll be tours going through and everybody's really quiet. They're like, we're talking about this painting and we're moving, and then we're talking about that painting. And then I'll go through because we're like, hey, let's do a tour of the galleries and through the museum, and everybody's laughing and having a great time and it's loud and but it's I don't know. I think art, the more of yourself you put into your art, whether you're creating it or whether you're just experiencing it, the more you get out of it. So it's usually, we usually try to have a good time.
Well, we got to sign me up for the jelly bean art. I would love to do it. I'm there. Nice. I wanted to ask you about, okay, so you wrote a book. How did you do that? How did you decide which publisher to use? What was that process like for you?
I whenever I was first losing my eyesight and hearing stories from other people that were going through some sort of loss, and it didn't have to be vision. It could be the loss of a parent, or it could be, just some sort of struggle in their life. That helped me tremendously. And I thought, one day, no one's ever going to read it, but one day, it was my thought, I just want to be a part of the dialogue. I just want to put
I'm going to listen to it.
Oh my goodness.
Hopefully I can get audio visual. Hopefully I can get it on audio.
Oh my goodness. Well, and I was going to do it and I kept putting it off. I thought, no, I need to wait a little bit longer. So, and I had a publisher that contact me, and then I was like, no, it's not the time. And then that happened a few times. And then finally, it felt like the right time, and so I decided to write the book, and then which is, it's kind of a plus and a minus in a way. Like the publisher that I used, I liked them because they were going to put it out in Braille and all these different things. And right after the book was published, they got bought out by a larger publishing company, and then they weren't really that interested in biographies and stuff, so they never put out the Braille version or anything. And I was like, come on, guys. So I don't know. So I'm in the process of writing another book, and but I'm going to be much more careful this time. I'm going to make sure
as far
we
as
get a
choosing
Braille
your
version
partners.
out.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. But honestly though, just being a part of the dialogue was awfully nice. It was, it was an honor to be asked to write it, and I learned a lot. Oh my goodness. Like, wow. It's editing is a thing.
Oh, the whole editing process with the publisher?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Like, because like pardon me, in college, you write a paper and you edit it and you edit it. It's a different thing when you have all these editors that are coming back. They're like, hey, can you make this chapter 300 words shorter? Can you make this one like 2 sentences longer? And I'm thinking like, I'm going nuts. I don't know. But well, it was fun. It's different.
I can't wait to read it.
So
you
hope
have,
you liked it.
I can't wait to listen to it. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about, so I think is it Peloton? So of course you have, what are the social media channels that you use?
Oh, well, let's see. Like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter, but I don't tweet very often. I need to do that. Like, I'm not as good about the social media as I should. And I know that's something that a lot of artists, I hear from artists, like there's so much social media out there. What do you use? How do you use it? How do you not just spin your wheels and all that? And I think that's something we're all trying to figure out just constantly, but it's a pickle.
Yeah. And talk to me about the tools that you started out with. I mean, when you were in college, and like the tools that you have available today, the technology.
Yes, I'm sorry you asked that earlier, and I'm sorry. I get excited about art, and I just ramble on, and I apologize. But I'm so excited. This is the first time in history that a person who's visually impaired has access the way that we do now. Like I can't see a photograph, but the technology we have, you can actually take a photograph, and as a visually impaired person, you can understand what it looks like. But it's through the different devices we have. So, and it's software. So in college, I started learning how to use screen readers. And that's a program that lets you be able to use computers. Like I have a Bluetooth in my ear right now, and it's going to my computer, and it's reading different things that's going on to the screen to me. So it's just letting me be able to use this and be able to turn it on, read email, and all that kind of fun stuff. There's other programs that will take a photo or a picture, and it'll reduce it to lines, and then it'll turn it into sort of a tactile sort of image, so that as you're touching a screen or a printout, it'll vibrate or it'll make sound. So like if it's a thick line, it'll vibrate and it'll make a deep sound as you're touching it. And if it's thinner lines, it makes a higher sound, and it'll vibrate much quicker. And so you get a feeling of what it looks like. So it turns like a line drawing into something that you can touch and feel. And that works really well for me. There's also printout versions that we've had since the 70s, but now they're really, really so much better. And I also have a massive 3D printer. It's just massive. And so I can print out like an entire person's head and touch and feel it, or I can print out like a statue from around the world and be able to feel it. And or like I was doing a painting of the Statue of Liberty, and I remember seeing her face when I was a kid, and she's all stern, but it's like the little nuances. Like I forgot how grim she looks. Like she's really stern.
Is she?
Like
I have to look closer at her face.
I know. Yes, and it was brilliant. Like I loved it. To actually, to be able to get hands on it, actually see what her face looked like, and then the flame and the torch, and because you remember it, but how exactly does it go? And so to be able to print that out and be able to touch it, it's phenomenal. And only about 12% of blind people even read Braille anymore because of the software that we have. And so it's like I use Braille in my studio. Like,
yeah, show us how you work.
Let me see. So like I have paints, so I'm gonna hold it up, but I'm a real lazy Brailler, so I'll Braille my paint so I can just tell what color they are. So that's a way of starting. So I use Braille, um, but but the computers are so great. Like the software, even like your smartphones, they have apps so you can just hold it up and it'll say, "Oh, there's a person over there. Oh, it's a person wearing a blue shirt." It'll just tell you these things, and it'll read anything that's written, and it's just incredible.
Yeah,
I'm a
technology.
fan. I'm a huge nerd though, but I'm a huge fan of all the computers and stuff.
It's great. I mean, the evolution of technology is so fast, and keeping pace
Mhm.
with it, it's just amazing. Just where we were 5, 10 years ago, and where we are today, and what that future holds.
Oh my
So
word.
I know. It's just truly exciting to see what's going to come next. And um, we just have a few minutes here, John. I wanted to ask you, if people wanted to find out more about you and your journey, how do they do that?
Oh, my website is bramblet.com. Everything is my last name on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all that. It's just my last name. It's Bramblet. And if you forget my name, if you type in blind painter on Google, I'll pop up. But I do encourage people, send me an email if you have a question. If you're a person with a disability or you have someone in your family and you're just wondering like, oh my goodness, like how do I even get into this? Send me an email. My email is just bramblet@gmail. So everything's my last name. It makes it easy for me so I don't forget. But
I need to do that too.
but oh my goodness, but we're constantly, like, a big part of my day is sending emails back and messaging, and that's one of my favorite things to do. And we do a live stream twice a week ever since all this current unpleasantness, and which is so much fun because we get to chat with people, and I don't know, so we're having to stay in the studio and all, but it makes me feel social. Being able to do these live streams.
I know. I
I feel like
watched
I'm talking to people.
Yes, I watched your video this week that you and Jackie did
Oh,
together. I put
thank
up
you.
behind me, I have Marilyn Monroe in a potato field
Oh,
in
do you really?
in Idaho, and she's wearing uh, basically just like a brown potato sack. And
That sounds awesome.
yeah, it's great. The Tetons mountains are behind her, and yeah,
Oh,
so it was a pretty cool picture. One of the first things that I got when I came to Idaho, I went to the Idaho Potato Museum and picked that up.
oh,
So I wanted to thank you for your time. I truly admire you and
oh,
everything that you've done to bring the arts to people who don't necessarily have that in their lives every day. And
yes,
I
thank you so much.
I learned
I
so much from
appreciate
you.
that so much. But it's been my pleasure.